I am a wave dancer. And it's pretty straightforward. I dance on the waves, I surf, right? But that's not really what I'm talking about. You see, I come from a very activist background. Activist not in the sense of standing in the streets with placards, but activist in the sense of building a community to effect change. My mother is a social worker who works with children with disabilities, and my father, a musician and actor who really started the surf movement in Jamaica. So I guess I just kind of merged these two because I saw and I learned from my dad the opportunity that surfing gives for youth to look out and become positive and to see opportunities for themselves in the world. Now, what is a wave dancer? It's not necessarily a surfer and doesn't require any dancing skills. A wave dancer is actually someone who uses their passion to create opportunities for themselves by building that opportunity base for others around them. And how I've managed to do that is through surfing. But the first step for me in doing that, I had to make a wave. A wave, what is a wave? It's an opportunity. And how I did that, I had to think selfishly, meaning I wanted to get better at surfing. There were only about 5 or 6 girls surfing competitively in Jamaica at the time. I wanted to get better, so I had to create that community of girls who wanted to surf, who would learn the joys of surfing. That was my selfish motivation. But then I had to act selflessly by creating a community where all these girls could heal, they could bond, they could build, they could see a place for themselves in the world. Always count. The wave I created counted for somebody else. It counted for me too. And how waves are formed, the wind blows across the water and it moves that water in a circular motion until it comes up to what you call a shallow. I had to be that shallow. And I invite everybody to be that shallow, that point that causes a change. That point that stops everything that's normal and forces an opportunity forward. It doesn't matter the size of the wave, because every wave, in essence, is a wave. And whoever needs that wave, they'll appreciate it. The next step in my process was riding the wave, because I had to prove it by example. Now, paddling is 95% of surfing. Paddling is that motion, that drive, that momentum that you build. And I like to describe paddling as the groundwork. It's all of those late nights that you spend working on your craft, trying to improve, trying to put things in motion for what you see as your vision. You paddle, and I'm known for standing on the beach and yelling to my girls, paddle, 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 because it's very important. You have to build the speed, you have to build the momentum. And what are you building the momentum for? To take off. Taking off is that split second between paddling and getting to your feet. It's that moment where you look and you analyze the entire wave in 1 second, and you have that opportunity to prove that you know what you're talking about. It's a very scary point because at this point you could fall off. But the aim is that you pop up, you get to your feet, you ride the wave, you show everybody that you do it, and you claim it. Claiming is when a surfer, they ride that wave and you put your hand in the air and you say, oh my God, I did it! Epic! Or gnarly or whatever. You get the point. So you've ridden the wave. The next part, you share it. Because what is the point of creating this opportunity in the first place? It doesn't make sense to do it for yourself. So you create the community. I created a community of girls who, some of them are going through personal issues that they don't want to talk about. Some of them want to talk about it, but it doesn't matter because the point is that we surf together and we experience everything that surfing has to offer. I made space on my wave. I understood the healing powers of the water and of surfing and of being out in the natural elements, and I made space for somebody to come along that ride. In essence, I passed that stoke along. The stoke is that joy, that commitment, that excitement that you have for the sport, for your passion. And you pass that along to somebody else because they're going to encourage somebody else to feel that stoke and to give back to their community. But it's not easy. It requires endurance. It requires understanding that you're going to fall. You're going to wipe out. You're going to get water up your nose. It's going to hurt, you know. But how do you recover? You have to have a routine. Every athlete knows you need a fitness routine. You need to get out there. You need to work harder. You need to put yourself in a space of stress to improve. I've actually almost drowned twice. Both times in a competition, both times at the same location. But guess what? I still surf that spot. And it's still one of my favorites. And I push past all of that because I can see what is ahead of me. But every surfer is terrified of a few things. Number one being sharks. Number two being jellyfish. Number three being urchins. Everybody thinks of sharks in a very scary way, but I would like you to think about sharks as those who came before us. They've been there for a very long time. They understand the terrain. You're not new at this. There's always been somebody else before you. So respect them. Understand where they're coming from. Learn from their mistakes and their successes. Take that and move forward to improve your own. The jellyfish. Jellyfish are very majestic if you've ever seen them. They're very hypnotizing. I studied jellyfish for 2 years in university when I did environmental studies, and I hate them. I don't like jellyfish at all because they distract you. They distract you from everything else around you, and then they cause you harm. And that jellyfish is every bad mind friend that you have. It is every time you second guess yourself and you missed an opportunity for yourself. It is every single time that you are distracted by something that you didn't need to think about. And the urchins, those are the reminders that you're distracted. Every time I've ever went surfing and stepped on an urchin, I was having too much fun. I wasn't paying attention. I always know where the urchins are. I surf these spots all the time. But I didn't think about it that minute, and I stepped on it. It's a reminder to stay focused on your goal. And once you get all of those things down, then you can dance like a pro. To do that, remember the motivation matters. Why you started it in the first place is very important. You have to be consistent. Consistent in your message, consistent with reminding yourself of that motivation, consistent with your training routine, consistent with being authentic. It's very hard because it's easy to get caught up in the hype. I recently released a documentary about the work that I do with girls, and one of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do you feel knowing that this documentary has gone viral? I don't care. It doesn't matter how I feel because I didn't do it to feel good. I did this to create a community. And the second I start feeling good about that, I take my mind and my eye off of what the vision was. No expectations. This one I preach to myself all the time. If you have no expectations, you can't be disappointed. You can't be disappointed that nobody takes your opportunity that you've created. Because guess what? It might not happen right now. It might happen 10 years from now. And you can't be disappointed if somebody jumps on this opportunity, jumps on this wave, and doesn't ride it the way that you do. Because everybody has to be their authentic self. And finally, you have to give thanks. You give thanks for the horizon, for the possibility, for all the inspiration, for the people that came before you. You give thanks for the waves, the ones that you've ridden, the ones that you've created, the ones that you've missed, because these are all lessons. You give thanks for the lulls. Lulls are those periods in between each wave. Those periods where you really get to think and process everything that you've done, all your experiences, and you give thanks for the journey because you're going to come out a better person. Thank you.